there, this is Vahid from the Art of Education channel, and welcome to the third session of creating chat application in Qt framework. In this session, we are going to see how we can add send file option to our client applications. In previous session, we've talked about how to send simple text message, set the name for the client, and also set the status for the clients, and how to pass each typing message from server to the client and also from client to the servers. And also, we've talked about how we should set a protocol or a contract between the client and server to inform each other what kind of data currently is being sent. Today, we are going to extend that protocol and add sending file capability to client application. And also, we should have the ability on the server to receive the file. So let's see a demo of what we are going to create in this session, and then go into Qt Creator and create this application. Okay, here in client application, we add a browse button here next to the send button. Using this button, we are able to open a file dialog and select a file to send it to the server. And also, when I connect to the server, let's also see the output folder for the server application. Here, we don't have any folder for our client. But as soon as I connect a client to a server, so we can see a client connected and a chat widget, a client chat widget add to this tab dialog. And if I just open that file, you can see we have a folder for client 1, the default name for that client created inside the server folder. Let's also close this one. And if I connect the other one, client 2 connected, and we have a folder here for client 2. These folders are reserved for the file sent by those clients, and each client file gonna save inside its own directory. And if I change the title or the name for the client and set it on the server, you can see name set here, and also the folder renamed. Okay, client 1 renamed to Vahid. Oh, I'm not gonna touch the second one. So here it is. Now I'm gonna, and also we have a link here. You can click this link, so you're able to open the folder for this client inside the file explorer. Or if I choose this one, you can open it. This is going to work separately from each other. So I'm going to send a file from this client, Vahid client, to the server. So I open the file browser dialog, going here, and select make file. And also, if you want to send large file over TCP, you need to do some more actions. So today we're just going to focus on file less than 65 kilobytes, and in next session I'm going to show you how to deal with large files such as this one that it has 1.33 megabytes. So I'm going to say open this file and send it to the server. If I press open, a message box appears on the server application. It says client, the name of client Vahid wants to send a file. Do you want to accept it? And it's the file name, and this is the size of the file. So if the server press no, the operation cancelled, and here we're gonna inform the user operation rejected. Now let's do this one more time. I'm gonna say okay, go ahead and send that file one more time. Here I'm gonna press accept. So after the file received, it's gonna say file saved here, the location to the file, and also I'm gonna attach a timestamp to the file name in order to prevent the file overwriting or duplicate files. So if I press OK and press open link here, you can see that file received here, and this is also 56.5 kilobytes. Now let's do it with the other client. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna send a file. This time I'm gonna send makefile.release to the server. So I'm going to accept it, the name changed, and also it says the client 2 file, the client 2 want to send you a file, and it's the file size. So it says the file received successfully, and here if I press open, no, this is Vahid. I'm going to close it, and this time I'm going to go to client 2 and press open. So here we are inside the client 2, and you can see makefile.release with the timestamp saved here. And also the size is something different. So each client has its own reserved directory. So the file sent from client is going to be saved in those folders. Now let's go to Qt Creator and see how we can develop the previous session application to have this option. Okay, let's get down to business and see what we should add to our previous client and server application. I'm going to start with client application. Here, if you remember from a previous session, we had a couple of classes: chat protocol, that's a contract between client and server, and a client manager. All the things, all the business and logics for being connected to the server are located inside this class, and a main window, and that's our UI file. So let's start with the UI and add that specific button here, and then go to the other part of the application. So I'm going to add a button here next to the send button. Change title to 3 dots. It's a browse symbol, and also I'm gonna set the maximum width to 35 pixel. So that's it, and let's change the name also to btn send file. That's it. So, and also let's create a click slot for this widget, and here we are. Now let's go to chat protocol. All the things should start from here. In chat protocol, we created a message type here, and I added a file message type. So I'm going to change it today because we need a couple of other type of message for sending file. So here, when we want to send a file, we have a couple of different stages. First of all, we're going to inform the server, I'm going to send you a file with this name and this size. And server, or the other part, going to accept or reject it. And if the process accepted, so we should send the real file data to the server. So we have 4 different steps. I'm going to remove this one and add this type of message. Init sending file. In this message, I'm going to send the file name and also the file size for the other part, and that's server, because in this application we just have 1 base sending, so we can complete it to have 2 base sending file. And then server gonna accept sending file, or reject it, reject sending file. And if server accept it, we should send the file. So I'm gonna add another that's it, send file. And we need to create a couple of methods, 4 different methods for creating message for these message types. So let's duplicate this one. Set init sending file message, and here we just need to receive the file name, and then we're gonna create a QFileInfo, an instance of QFileInfo class, and receive the file size from the operating system. And after that, I'm gonna make a copy of this one for accept and reject. We don't need to have any parameter set. Accept file message, set reject file message. And finally, again, we need to create set file message, and we have the file name as input here. Let's create definition for these 4 messages here. For accept and reject, we just need to do the same thing as we did for is typing message, and we just need to change the message type to accept sending file, and for this one is to reject sending file. So for init sending file, we should do a couple of more steps, and we can't use that get data message anymore. So I'm gonna copy this one and paste it here. We have a byte array, and open and stream data stream over that byte array, setting the version, and I'm gonna say I need a QFileInfo class. Let's also add the header file, and set the name of the file to the name I received in the parameter list. And then I'm gonna say this is an init sending file message info dot file name. This is the file name, and info dot size. This is the size of the file. And also for file message, I'm gonna copy this line of code and paste it here. And in addition to sending a file name and file size, I'm gonna send the real file data here. So before do the other stuff, I'm gonna create an instance of QFile with the file name. This is a real file, it's not the info about the file. And I'm gonna open it if file.open, and I'm gonna just read from the file. So the mode is read only. Let's try to open it read only. If file opened, go ahead and create a data stream over that byte array, set the version, and also set the file, create the file info class. This is send file, and file name, file size, and finally I'm gonna read the content of the file totally. And this approach is usable for small files, file less than 65 kilobytes. And I'm going to show you how to deal with large files in next session and create progress bar and other stuff. And after that, I'm going to say file.close. Never forget to close the file. Close. That's it. So these are the messages that I need to have for sending a file. And also we need to do something here. When we received init file sending and also send file, we need to read some other data, some extra data. For accept and reject, we don't need to read any more data. So let's create a copy of these lines and change the status. Init sending file, I'm gonna say, let's create the variables here. We have a file name, not qstring, it's qint 64, file size, and qint 64, and q byte array, file data. So when I received init sending file, I'm gonna say go ahead and read underline file name and also file size. And when receiving sent file message, just read same as this one, and after file size we need to read file data, and that's it. So let's create also getter and setter for these messages, these fields, getter for this one and also for this one. So I think we've done with chat protocol. Now we need to go one level higher, going to client manager, the class that we use chat protocol directly. Let's compile the application and see if we have any errors or not. So everything is just fine. Let's close these files and go to client manager and see what we should do here. So in client manager class, we need to create a couple of public methods to let the user work with them and send init sending file and accept and reject for the other endpoint of the connection. But for send file, we don't need to create any public method. So what should we have to public here? Okay, that's it. When we receive init sending file message, we just process something here and inform the UI that something happened. Someone gonna send us a file. Would you accept or reject? And then we have two different methods, accept and reject public method. So we can send appropriate message type for the client or the server. And after receiving accept message, we don't need to inform the UI to send file to send anything, because we already have the information about the file we want to send. So we need a private method here. So we have three different public methods and one private. So let's create them. Void send init sending file. Here we just need to receive the name of the file name, and again we need to send accept file. We don't need to have any parameter, and send reject file. This method gonna directly work with our UI, but we have to create a method here named is send file. Again, here we don't need to have any parameter because we already in init sending file receive the file name. Maybe this is not a good approach, but this is good for our demo, and you can change the way that you communicate with your UI file. Let's create definition for these methods, and also for this one and for this one. So in these two methods we need to just call something like this for is typing. I'm gonna copy this one and paste it twice here. Instead of is typing message, I'm gonna say set accept file message, and this one is set reject file message. And for this one we need to do the same, set init sending file message, and this is your file. But before that, I'm gonna save this file name inside a private field or private member, because when we receive the accept sending file message, we need to send it one more time. So I'm gonna save it tmp file name, and here I'm gonna say underline tmp file name equals to file name, receive it temporarily. So I'm gonna work with that in send file one more time when I receive the accept message. So here we just need again to say go ahead and this time set send file message, yeah, that's it, and pass temp file name as a parameter. So when should I call this method? Let's get to our ready read function. We have to create another case inside our switch and switch case. First one is init sending file. I'm gonna react to this one and accept sending file and reject sending file. When we receive accept sending file, we don't need to emit anything right now in this version. We're just gonna say send file. Okay, it's okay, send the file directly. And when I receive init sending file and the reject sending file, we need to inform our UI that something happened and do the appropriate action. So here we need to emit two different methods, two different signals. This one is set reject. I'm gonna change it to reject receiving file, because this action is somehow going to show us that the other part reject receiving file. So I'm gonna name it something like this, and I'm gonna create it very soon. And here inside sending file, I'm gonna say init receiving file. So I need to pass a couple of options here: the client's name, the protocol, the file name, and the file size. These are all located inside the protocol. So I'm going to say protocol dot name. This is the name of the client. Protocol dot file name, and protocol dot file size. We already read them and save them inside these variables. So pardon me. Okay, let's create those signals here inside signals. I'm going to say void reject receiving file and void init receiving file. We have three different string, QString. Let's also provide the name, client's name for clarification, QString file name, and qint64 file size. So that's it, and we just complete what we need to have inside Client Manager, and the other part should be developed inside the main window, our UI file. Let's build the application, see if any errors. Okay, that's it. Let's go and close these files. Go to main window. Okay, inside main window, I created a button and also a slot for that. Let's get to that slot. Here is the point that we start the sending file process. Here we need to open a file dialog and select a file and start the process of init sending file and waiting for the server to respond as I reject or I decline the receiving file. So here we just need to say I'm gonna need a queue file dialog, oops, let's bring it manually, queue file dialog, and that queue file, something went wrong, queue file dialog, yeah, that's okay. Get open file name. The parent is current window, and the title is select a file, and the start directory is our home directory. I'm gonna save it inside a variable named file name, and after that I'm gonna say client dot send init sending file, and this is your file name. That's it. And we need to wait for the response. The on-init receiving message is sent, and we need to wait for accept or rejecting. So I'm gonna create the on-init receiving slot also here. So if you want to create a two-way server and client sending, your job is somehow done to some extent. Let's get up here inside the client manager. We're going to do what? To wait for two signals. Init receiving file, this is the first signal, and this is reject sending file. And I'm going to connect it to two slots inside this class. On init receiving file and on rejecting. On rejecting is very simple, and we just inform the user that the server does not accept the sending file process. So this is it, and we don't need to have anything here, just implement it and show a critical message. Let's get one more and copy this one. Our receiving file, let's bring it from here. It's a little hard to type it. So here we have another slot on init receiving. We're gonna use this on server in this demo, but you can also have it inside the client. And that's so. Here I'm gonna say queue message box, queue message box, bring the header file and call the critical message. The parent is this, the title is receiving file, or that's sending file, maybe receiving file, oh no, it's sending file, and operation rejected. That's it. But we need to do a couple of more things inside the on init receiving file. Here I'm gonna create a message first and show it to the user. It's a QString message, and I'm gonna complete it very soon. It's that message that a client want to send you a file, the file name and the file size. Are you accepted or not? So after that, I'm gonna create a question from QMessage box. Title is receiving file, and the message. Let's save the result inside a variable, a local variable named result, and then I'm gonna say if result equal to QMessage box yes, it means that the server accepts the file receiving process. So I'm going to say client client go ahead and send accept to the client, so the client gonna able to send us the file. Otherwise, send reject file. I'm not gonna reject this file, so it will send to the client, and using this slot, client gonna show us the rejection. So what's the message? It's very simple. Client, and this is the name of the client, wants to send a file. Do you want to accept it? Do you want to accept it? And then going to the next line, file name, it's equal to something. Next line, file size equal to another thing, and let's postfix it as bytes. And then argument, client's name and file name, file size. Okay, that's it. So this is what we need to have in client application. Everything is just implemented and the build is successful. Let's go to the server part and do a couple of things there. So this is the server application, and here again we have chat protocol and client manager, and they're the same with the thing that we just developed in client application, and it was better to develop it in a class library and make use of it inside client and server application, but we didn't do it inside this tutorial, and you can do it on your own. So chat protocol is the same, so I'm gonna just copy and paste it from the client. This is the header file, and this is, let's see, yeah, these are okay. So we have those extra message types here and the file and the method related to them. That's it. And for the client manager, the things is somehow different. They are the same to some extent, but here we need to create another method, and that's save method. So if you want to copy and paste it, you need to be careful again about this constructor. So let's copy and paste the common part. So we need to have, I don't need this public, I don't know why we have to public this. So we have these three methods here. If you want to start anything or file, and we have these two, reject and init receiving file method, and here we're going to paste temp file name and send file method. So these are the things that I'm gonna bring from the client part. And also I'm gonna create a method named save file. This is for saving the file, and another signal here. It says file saved, and I'm going to path the path to the file to show the user the file saved inside this directory. So let's go to CPP file, and first I'm gonna copy these methods here: sending file, send accept file, and send reject file. These are important. And also for the send file. So again, that's okay. And we need to implement the save file by our own. And also let's copy and paste these lines here for init sending file, accept sending, reject sending. These are the same with the client. And for send real file, that was sending file, send file. Yeah, I'm gonna say go ahead and call save file, save file. Call it when you receive the send file message. And inside the save file, I'm gonna do a couple of things. First, I'm gonna create a directory, Q directory. The name is dir, and I'm gonna say dir make directory with the name of the client. So if it's created already, nothing happened, but if it not exist, it's gonna create it. And then we need a path. It's a string, so I'm gonna create it very soon. And I'm gonna say Q file. I need a file for this path. Okay, and then if file dot open, this time I'm gonna write something into this file, so I'm gonna say open it with write only the mode. Then go ahead and set file dot write the thing that is inside the file data. So we save the real file data inside the file data member in our protocol class. And after that, I'm gonna close the file.close, and emit file saved signal with the path. Here inside this QS string, I'm gonna say we have a path to the directory. After that, we have the name of client directory, and after that we have the file name and a timestamp. These are the things that we need to have for our string. And I'm gonna change the timestamp and bring it to the start of the file name, because it's gonna corrupt the extension for the file. So let's pass those arguments. First one is dir.canonical path. This is the path to the current directory, and then the name of the client. After that we need a date time, something I'm gonna fill it very soon, and after that I'm gonna say this is the real file name inside the protocol. So for the date time, I'm gonna say QDateTime current datetime dot to string, and say the format string something like this: 4 years, 2 month, 2 day, underline hour in 24 format, minute and second. That's it. So this is the way that we are going to save received file. Now let's go one level up inside the chat client widget. Inside the client chat widget, yeah. Inside it, we need to wait for init sending file. This is the most important one. So we're gonna tell the server that someone gonna send a file for you. Do you accept it or not? Let's implement it also. First of all, let's compile the application and see why we have a lot of error here. And meantime, I'm gonna duplicate this connect statement, and I'm gonna connect init receiving file signal, and also, oops, it says what? Maybe we did something wrong again. Let's compile it one more time. Now it's okay. So uncomment this, and after init receiving file, I'm gonna connect reject receiving file, or we don't need that. I'm gonna just connect the file. Oops, file saved signal to a slot inside my client chat widget class. So I don't need to implement accept and reject in the server, so you can do it by yourself. And I'm gonna copy this one and paste it here with this notation on init receiving file, and this one also is on file saved. Change the name, yeah, that's okay. Let's also create slots for those two. I'm gonna grab let's take this one from the client application. Okay, yeah, this is much better, I think. I don't need to do all those coding things. So here I'm gonna declare it, and instead of main window, I'm gonna change the class to client chat widget and press Alt plus Enter and create a private slot declaration. So that's it. And for the next one, it was on file save. So what's this? It says on init receiving file. Maybe I have some. No, that. Well, let's paste it. Yeah, that's okay. And for this one, I'm gonna create another slot void on file save, and it's gonna receive the path to the file that we just saved. So here we just need to show a message box to the user. So I'm going to say I have a message qstring file saved here, and let's go to the next line and provide an argument. So the argument is the path, and go ahead, just q message box information, this as the parent, file saved, and the title and the messages for the message body. That's it. So the thing is somehow complete, but as you might already remember, we had a link inside this part of the application, an open link that's going to help us open the directory designated for this client. So let's add a label and also complete this one, and then go for checking the output. So instead of just entering a test, I'm gonna change it as a rich text. So I'm gonna add a link here to somewhere. It's the link, and I'm gonna name it LBL open folder. So you can right click on it. Inside the slot, we need to use a link activated. So in link activated, I'm gonna do something very cool. I'm gonna use number include Qt desktop services, and here I'm gonna say Qt desktop services. Oops. Open URL, and what's the URL? It's an instance of QURL class, and I'm gonna call from local file. And I'm gonna use it because when you just pass the path to the current directory for this client, it just converts the space character to %20, just like web applications, and it's not going to work on our file system. And I'm going to say go ahead and read the name from the client. Open a folder with this name in my file system, and inside the constructor, when I create a chat widget or client chat widget, I'm gonna say let's create a private field here, a directory, Q directory dir, bring the header file, and I'm gonna say dir.mk directory underline client dot name, and that's it. So when the chat widget created, I'm going to create a folder with the name of the client. By default it's client 1, 2, 3, and etc. And I need to change the name when user provide its name for me. So and also let's set the path for this directory. I'm going to say dir.set path current directory plus client underline client dot name. So this is the path for this directory, and here when a name changed, I'm not gonna attach it directly to another signal in my client. I'm gonna create a slot here, void on client name changed, and it's gonna receive a string, the new name. So let's implement it, and inside it I'm gonna say emit client's name changed, just like before. And inside this connect statement, I'm gonna connect it to the new slot, not the signal on client name changed. So inside it, I'm gonna rename the folder with the new name, and it's very straightforward. We're gonna use Q file for this purpose. I'm gonna say Q file rename, calling a static method rename. So what's the name? dir.canonical path, and rename it with the new name. So that's it. And after that, I'm going to emit the client's name changed for one higher level, so we are able to change the tab name. Now let's build the application and run it. Everything is just fine, I think. So the build is successful. Let's run this application. Here is the server application, and also let's run two clients, one client, two clients. I'm gonna bring them to the screen. So this is client 2, and this is client, oops, this is client 1. So let's connect to the server. It's just like the previous sessions, and here we have open link. Let's click on open. Waiting for file explorer. Here you can see here we are inside the build folder for the server, and we have client 1 folder. And also I'm gonna connect this one, and let's use open link inside this tab. Here we are in client 2, and if I go one level up, you can see we have client 1 and client 2. Now I'm gonna change the name for this one, for instance to Wahid, press enter. The name changed here, and let's see if the file renamed on the server or not. Yeah, the folder also renamed. We have client 2 and Wahid together. So let's send one file here. I'm gonna go here for this file, and I'm gonna use make file. It's less than 65 kilobytes. So if I press open the file, it says client Wahid wants to send a file. Do you want to accept it? The name is make file, and the size is this amount. So if I press no, it says okay, operation rejected. Let's do it one more time. Inside Vahid, okay, make. I'm gonna say accept. After a while it says the file saved here inside this folder, and this is also a timestamp attached to the file name. Let's open it to see if it's really there. Yeah, it's really there. And the size also is 56.5 kilobytes. Let's also send a file with the second client, and here I'm going to use this one. It says do you want? If I search no, a message will be appeared here, and if I press yes, again it says the file saved here. This is the path to the new file, and it's inside client 2. Let's go to client 2 and press open link. Here you can see we have makefile.release with the timestamp in this path. So the main problem with this implementation is that we cannot send file more than 65 kilobytes, but because when we're dealing with TCP, when file size is somehow bigger than 65 kilobytes, it's gonna put it into different chunk and send the file chunk by chunk. So we're going to see how we can send large file over TCP in this chat application in next session. I hope you enjoyed the content, and till next session, goodbye.